Welcome, everyone, to the next perfect step where all possibilities lie in conversation. Today, we have a really special guest, and I'm going to let Lori tell you about our special guest today.
So I'm your other co-host, Lori Mullen, and we're very excited. Lori and I, if you know us, know that we met in herbal school, and we get to share one of our teachers with you today. So Sheilagh is an urban herbalist, teacher, mom, and small space gardener who has been working with and learning from the plants for over 20 years. During that time, she studied with many amazing teachers, but mainly with Rosemary Gladstar. Completing the Science and Art of Herbalism Apprenticeship, advanced programs, a local herbal educator of the North Shore of Massachusetts. Sheilagh is a co-teacher at the Green Witch School of Herbalism for over 10 years, offering workshops at the International Herb Symposium, the New England Women's Herbal Conference, and Herbstalk, before instructing Rosemary's Science and Art of Herbalism in-person class. Sheilagh is also a freelance writer and has been a featured contributor and columnist with the Herb Quarterly. She has many, many talents and is located in Salem, Massachusetts, and holds a really dear space in our hearts as one of our teachers. So Sheilagh, would you mind telling us a little bit about how you got started on your path with herbs and your love for the herbs?
Oh gosh, it happened a long time ago. Am I echoing? I'm hearing an echo.
There's a little bit of an echo, yeah. Try again.
I got started with herbalism over 20 years ago, and it's hard to even think of that. The time has gone by so fast, but I was a person who was, as a young woman, was having a lot of health challenges, and the doctors that I was seeing really wanted to help me, but were telling me this is as far as we can go. We just don't really know what else we can do. I had a lot of prescriptions. I was just feeling terrible. So I decided to seek out some alternative treatment. And I went downtown in Salem to Artemisia Botanicals, which my friend Terry runs. I didn't know her really well at the time. And I asked her, do you know an herbalist, or do you have any classes on natural health care? And she said, yeah. She handed me a pamphlet, and I started taking classes at her shop. And I met a wonderful herbalist named Kate, and Kate helped me get well. And it was an amazing journey. And I couldn't believe how well my body responded to changes in diet, lifestyle, adding herbs, adding not really supplements so much, but just adding sort of nutritious herbs and herbs that would help my body and support my body in the healing process. And one by one, I started to feel better and get off my medications. I was just on a few, lowered them drastically. And I remember bringing my herbal protocol into my doctor. And I said, I'm doing this. And she looked at it and said, well, I don't think it's going to help you, but I don't think it's going to hurt you. And when I came back to her and I was doing so much better, she said, can I have a copy of that? And I gave her a copy, and she looked it over and she put it in my chart. And she said, this is pretty amazing. And I really am grateful for this information. So it was really nice that she supported me in her own way, and then accepted the fact that I was able to help myself and help my body. And that, to me, was so important that I felt like I needed to share it. So I started looking at herbal education programs. I had been given a book by Rosemary Gladstar. I looked in the back of the book and saw that she had an education center in Vermont. I called them. They had one spot left, and I said, that spot is mine. And I started that journey. And I was doing I had a completely different life at the time, and just gradually switched over to learning about the plants, how they work on the body, and then becoming an herbal educator and helping other people learn about how wonderful these plants that are all around us can help us and help us with our bodies and our minds, and help alleviate some of our, mild to moderate health issues.
That's quite amazing. Yeah, I remember in class you were talking about sometimes how around your house, sometimes plants will come up that you need. Like if you're needing some type of remedy, that plant will just sometimes just grow close to you, which is pretty amazing.
Absolutely. I learned that from Rosemary, that sometimes you have these volunteers and they pop up in your garden. And when you have plants popping up, it's good to look them up and see what they're good for, because they may be something that you really need at the time. There was a time when I was going through perimenopause, and all of a sudden these wild primrose started growing in my yard. And if you've ever seen them, they're not like the regular garden primrose. They grow about 6 to 7 feet tall. They were enormous. And I thought, boy, that's a message. Evening primrose is really a wonderful addition to your supplements. If you are going through perimenopause, it sort of helps sort of equalize those hot flashes. It sort of calms your body, and it's full of antioxidants, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful plant. And I also noticed that when we were in the middle of COVID, I was driving around Salem, and I would see mullein growing everywhere. More mullein than I have ever seen growing in Salem in my life. And I realized, wow, the mullein leaves are so good for the lungs, and COVID is a virus that can really hit your lungs in a really profound and damaging way. And I thought, wow, that's just amazing that all over the place where these plants are popping up that we really need. So it sounds very woo-woo, but I believe that there's a little plant intelligence there. They're sort of popping up when we need them. So yes, always look up things that grow in your garden that are unexpected, that you didn't plant.
Yeah, that was one of the things I loved about the herbal school, was getting to know the relationship between us and the plants, like getting a really deeper understanding for how we interact. And I noticed around here, after I had taken the class, that Japanese knotwood grew absolutely outrageous around here. And something I read was that it was really good for Lyme disease. And that's something that's just absolutely fluent around where I live. I mean, people have it everywhere. And I was amazing to see the connection. Just like poison ivy and jewelweed grow together. So there's the one, and then there's the remedy right beside it. I mean, it's just amazing, the relationship that we have and the plants have.
Oh, absolutely. There's so many examples of that in nature, which is very funny. Like usually you'll find yellow dock near nettle. So when you get your nettle stings, if you look around for some yellow dock leaves and you crunch them up or you chew them up, they're so bitter. But if you can chew them up, you can put them on your little welts that you get from the nettle, and it's supposed to take the sting out. And it's really interesting how the plants work that way.
That's great. And I know that there's a plant medicine just for anything. You're going to talk about a little bit of stress, because none of us are stressed out, right? So we
Yeah.
all actually, I think that's helpful to learn a little bit more about what we can do for our stress levels through plants.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's nothing stressful about the times we're living in right now at all. Um, which is why I feel like this is such an important subject. And we don't realize that some of the plants that we have right around us, right in our own gardens, that are so easy to grow and will grow pretty much anywhere, are so good at supporting our body and our nervous system. I mean, the definition of stress is basically a state of worry or tension caused by difficult situations of stress. And stress is a natural human response to address challenges and threats. And when I think of that definition and the fact that we're responding to a threat, that's a lot on our body. And when we're always in that state, it can cause some problems. It can cause GI problems. It can cause headaches and insomnia, anxiety, depression. And it can also lead to people having long-term illnesses. Stress aggravates diabetes. Stress aggravates anything that you might be recovering from. It affects your central nervous system. It affects your immune system. So stress can really lower your immune system, making you vulnerable to other viruses or illnesses. So it's really good to be able to have something in your pantry or right outside in your garden that can help you manage the stress. And some of these plants are they're very mild, beautiful plants, and they work really well. And they can have a real profound effect on the central nervous system. One of my favorite plants is, let's see, I hate to say my favorite plant because they're all my favorite plant. What do I want to start with here? Some of the easy ones. Let's see. Let's do chamomile. Chamomile, this I dried myself. I don't know if you can see it. I'll put it up close if you can see the little yellow flowers, and they've got white petals. They're really beautiful. They smell amazing. They smell like little apples. And chamomile is very gentle on the body. Children can use it, infants can use it, the elderly can use it. I always say it's a really great herb for fussy people. Good for fussy babies, good for fussy adults. And it has just a very calming effect on the nervous system. It's great as a tea. You can use it as an extract, but it also has a bitter principle to it that helps with nervous tummies. So if your nervousness or anxiety is causing stomach upset, or you can't sleep because your stomach is bothering you, you've got sort of a nervous tummy before a test or a day or anything that you're doing the next day and you can't sleep, chamomile is really wonderful. And if you brew it long enough till it's bitter, that way, that's when it can help with the GI system. Bitters are really good for your stomach, helps calm your stomach, helps get rid of cramps, helps get rid of bloating. And it's a really, really wonderful herb that is gentle and sweet and smells good, easy to grow. It's low growing. You can grow it in your lawn. It's actually nice if you grow it in your lawn, because if you mow your lawn, it smells like apples. It smells really good when you go over it. And it'll just keep coming back. It's pretty hardy. It should come back every year. It loves the sun, and it's just a really sweet herb to have. The only contraindication with it is that if you are allergic to ragweed or the daisy family, you might be allergic to it. And so you might want to spot test it on your skin, because it can give you a little bit of a rash, or it can make you cough and sneeze, runny nose, like allergy symptoms. But I am allergic to ragweed and I use it, and I haven't had any problems with it. So that's one of my favorite herbs for stress. And you know, when we think about stress too, stress can be good stress. Getting married is wonderful, but it's stressful. moving to your new home is wonderful and exciting, but it's stressful. Starting a new job can be exciting but stressful, but your body sort of doesn't know the difference. Our mind knows the difference, but our body is still feeling that stress. So being able to acknowledge, even though you're happy, it's still kind of stressful, and adding some of these herbs into your day can be really, really helpful to just help calm your body down. What else?
Chamomile tea is famous for that, right? Everybody knows about chamomile tea.
Absolutely. And what I love is in what is it? Benjamin? No, it's not Benjamin Bunny. Is it Benjamin Bunny? I'm trying to think of it's that beautiful little story of the bunny that's in Farmer McGregor's garden, and he almost gets caught and put in a pie, and he goes home and his mother gives him some chamomile tea and puts him to bed. It's a really lovely children's story, kind of scary, but it's a really good children's story about how his mom is taking care of him and giving him herbs to go to sleep. Do you guys ever use chamomile? Do you use it a lot?
Yeah, I'm growing some in the garden, and I dry it as well. Yeah, I love it.
It dries really well too, and it looks so pretty when it's dried, especially when you dry it from your own garden, because you keep the petals on and it just looks so pretty.
Yeah, I use it a lot. I love it in any type of tea blend I make. I always usually add some, and I always go out after with my tea, and I put into the ground just the the leftover herbs that I had used in tea, and chamomile just started growing. Just I was like, yay, bonus.
Oh
Good
yeah,
idea.
it's pretty opportunistic. It'll grow wherever. I work at a food farm in Salem, and so we have the farm, the vegetable garden, which is really big. We've got all these little satellite gardens around, and one of them we started growing chamomile, and it just completely took over, and it was knocking things down. And so I took some and I put it in the medicinal garden that I started there, and yeah, it grows and grows, and we had so much chamomile, and it was really great. It was wonderful because everybody got to take some home, and yeah, it's such a happy herb. It's a sunny herb. It loves the sun, and it's yellow and it's bright, and it's just a happy herb. It lifts your mood. Smells good. I think it can be helpful. A lot of these herbs can be helpful with seasonal affective disorder. So just to help you sort of get out of that mood that you can be in sometimes in the winter with these happy, yellow, smiley, sunny herbs.
That's what I think. They look like little tiny suns. That's exactly how I feel about them. Little tiny suns. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The rabbit, I think, was Peter Rabbit.
Peter Rabbit. You're right.
Yes.
Yeah. The story of Peter Rabbit.
Peter Rabbit. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I can't believe I forgot that. It was one of the stories that, I loved and my daughter loved. Let me see. Oh, lemon balm is another herb that I love. I don't have a plant here, and when it's cut up, it just looks sort of grassy and green. But it's a really amazing herb. Do either one of you grow it at all? It's so easy. It's a mint and it grows like crazy.
Yes, mine has just, it's kind of exploded into the garden. It's really grows like mint, like you said.
Yeah, it's in the mint family. So again, easy to grow in pots. I would actually grow it in a pot because it will just take over. It just grows and grows. But it smells really beautiful. It's like a little minty lemon, and it was always called a gladdening herb, even in medieval times. It just lifts the spirits. The smell is so beautiful, but it's also a very powerful herb for the nervous system. It can really calm you down. It gives you a peaceful feeling. It really helps with, like I said, your mood, seasonal affective disorder. It's great for frayed nerves when you're feeling really stressed out. It can just bring everything down. also really good for children, the elderly, fussy people again. And it's also wonderful fresh. If you cut it fresh, put it in some water and just let it sit for a little bit. The water takes on that sort of minty lemon, and it's just so good for you. It's it also helps settle your stomach. Again, in the mint family, mints do help settle your stomach. And it's just a wonderful herb. It also helps support your immune system. It's a very powerful antiviral. So it's also great for kids in the fall when you're going back to school to start using some lemon balm. It's good in a tea. It's good in an extract. The only thing that it can do is it can bother hypothyroid medication. So if you have Hashimoto's or hypothyroid and you're on Synthroid, it can irritate the medication, and it keeps it from working as well. People who just have hypothyroid in general, it may irritate, but it seems to be rare. So I would try it and see if, even if you have hypothyroid, to see if it bothers you. And if it does, don't use it. There's other things you can use. Lemongrass is also nice and lemony that you can substitute for the lemon balm. The taste. Again, it also, when it's dried, it loses a lot of its smell. So if you can use it fresh, that's great. I usually try to put it in extracts fresh, like tincture it fresh. But it's a really nice thing. If you can go out and just cut a bunch of it and make a tea, it's a really, really wonderful tea.
Could you talk a little bit about how easy it is to make a tincture and what that does for you? Like, so people want to know how to make a tincture.
Sure. And tincture is so easy. It's tincture bottles are those little extracts. I'm sorry, you're going to say something? Did I cut you off? Oh, a tincture is those little dropper bottles, the 2-ounce dropper bottles that you can buy in herbal health food stores, and they tend to cost between like $12 and $15. But they're so easy to make. You take your herb, whether it's fresh or dried, and you put it in a jar. You fill it almost halfway, like loosely. And if you want to, you can actually cut up the leaves a little bit so that the solvent can get in there. And your solvent is going to be alcohol. You can use 80 proof or 100 proof alcohol. I usually use vodka. I don't use top shelf vodka at all. And you cover it to the top, put your cap on, shake it. You put it in a dark, cool place for about 4 to 6 weeks, or sometimes even 8 weeks. Then you can strain it out and you've got an extract. And always compost your herbs, put them back in the garden or compost them. And you might get a new plant growing. But yeah, it's pretty easy. And if alcohol is an issue, you can always use apple cider vinegar. It's not as good as extracting the herb properties, but you do it the same way with some organic apple cider vinegar. And you'll have a good tincture there. It's pretty easy.
And it lasts a long time.
Oh, they last a really long time. Even just doing a pint is going to last you for a long time. And then you just fill your little dropper bottles and you can use those to dispense. And usually you want to dispense about between like 20 and 30 drops, not dropper fulls, but just drops into some warm water or some tea, and drink it. They don't always taste great. They don't taste as good as a tea. So putting it in a little bit of water or a little bit of tea can help it taste a little bit better.
Yeah, I learned that with Valerian. My husband hates the smell of Valerian. And but I love it in my tea. It's got like a sweeter taste, but I made a tincture of it so I don't have to have it around so he doesn't have to smell it. I made it into a tincture so I can just put some dropfuls in my tea before I go to bed sometimes when I really need it.
Oh yes, every time I have it and I open the container of it and my husband's around, he's like, "What's that?" Yeah, you can smell it. It smells like dirty socks, stinky feet, and the worse it smells, the better the quality. So if it really smells, you've got some good valerian. Also easy to grow in the garden. and the flowers are beautiful. It's a really pretty plant. It doesn't smell like valerian, only the roots do. But yeah, it's a good one to grow. Also great for the nervous system too, valerian. It's more of a sedating herb, good for sleep, but it's also antispasmodic, and it's a muscle relaxer. So it really, if you have muscle tension with stress, it will release those muscles. If you have muscle tension when you're sleeping, it helps with that, helps with restless legs before bed. And taking it about an hour before bed and then again right before you go to sleep can really, really help. You can keep it by your bedside. If you take too much, you can get sort of like a really drowsy feeling because it can be a little strong. And it's one of those herbs you use off and on. Use it for a little bit, take a break, use it for a little bit. It has some alkaloids, which makes it strong, and that processes through your liver. So you want to make sure that you give yourself a little bit of a break. It can also help you reset your sleep, your circadian rhythms. And if you have problems or disturbed sleep patterns, it can help right those, which is really helpful, and give you more deep and restful sleep, which is really valuable. Some of us don't sleep very well, so it can be really, really valuable. But it's one of those things that, yeah, off and on. You want to give
Yeah,
it.
I use it usually when I can feel my jaw's been really tight and my jaw hurts because I'm like clenching everything. Then I can just nice and relax. And like you said, it helps me go to sleep and just kind of let go of all that clenching.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, people who grind their teeth, people who clench their jaws, people with TMJ, it can be really helpful. Absolutely. Yes, that's a good point. Yes, that's a good one. Good one. Let me see, what else do I have here? Oh, rose. You can see I dried these. This is from my garden, and I dried these. They're really beautiful. These are I live on the coast, so I get the wild sea roses, the Rosa rugosa, and they are really wonderful. They smell really good. If you use roses, of course, don't use roses that you get from your husband or your significant other person, because they're probably sprayed. You want to look for organic rose petals that are unsprayed, or wild roses that smell really, really good. Rose is something that I like to put in a lot of my teas and remedies, because it just has that feeling of support. It softens the heart. It helps with grief. It helps the nervous system be calm. Just smelling rose. It smells beautiful. It's a beautiful plant to look at. It also looks really pretty in teas. So I like that, the aesthetic of it. But it can help with worry and nervousness and emotional feelings, especially when in relationships, and not just romantic relationships, any relationships that you have, personal relationships. It helps just soften you a little bit, and it can help with grief and loss. It really supports that heart. It's one of those herbs that works on the mind and the body and the spirit. So it's even the scent of rose and the essential oil smells amazing. Just smelling it helps sort of lift you and center you. And something else that I love about rose that I talk about a bit is how beautiful rose is, but that it has thorns. And I feel that it's a really wonderful herb, especially in this day and age for women, because it's a beautiful plant, and it's showing off how beautiful it is and not holding back, and yet it has thorns, which helps us with our boundaries, right? So it's like, I'm beautiful, look at me, I'm here, I'm being myself, I'm out there, but I've got some boundaries, so back off. And it's a really good one to help us learn our boundaries, and in that sort of emotional sense. And I really like that about it. Little fierce little rose.
A good point.
It's Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I always used to think, and people smell it and go, it smells like my grandmother, or it smells like in my grandmother's closet, or everyone thinks of like their grandmother. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes people don't like it. I find women like it more than men do, but it's something that I've really grown to love rose. It seems so common, but it's really a lovely herb and edible too. You can put the petals on cakes and cookies, and you can put it in salads, and yeah, it's good in tea. You want to just use a little bit. Same with lavender that I'm going to talk about in a minute. It can be overwhelming and perfumey and a little astringent. So you just a little bit goes a long way with this herb
One of
or
my
flower.
most favorite things to do is infuse herbs in oil. And I love every time I use something for the skin, I put the rose petals in. Doesn't smell as strong as like the essential oils or anything like that, but you can feel it. It almost feels like you rub, self-love into your skin. And you're putting that, like you said, that layer, that boundary on. It's just so wonderful. I love infusing it in the oils.
Oh yeah, it's lovely. And combining that with like calendula or lavender, it's just, and even some chamomile, can be a wonderful body lotion that, or actually body oil. Yeah, the oils are wonderful. It's a wonderful way to infuse your herbs and to use them in a different way as on your body topically. And it still gives you that wonderful sense. You can smell it and it feels good. And yeah, that's a wonderful way to use rose. Absolutely. Let's see. I have some lavender here. See if this is some dried lavender from my garden. I just picked some not too long ago, but yeah, that's dried. See, it's really pretty and purple. It really retained its color well, which is what you want to look for when you're seeing dried herbs, that it should look almost as vibrant as when they're fresh. And I think most people know about lavender, that it's really calming and it's beautiful, and it's incredibly aromatic. You go by it and you brush past it and you smell it and it's amazing. But it's also really wonderful for the nervous system. It helps really calm you down. Just the smell of lavender is incredibly calming. The essential oil is used a lot in diffusers just to sort of even out your moods. It also lifts spirits. It's a mild antidepressant. It's really wonderful for tension and stress and headaches too. The essential oil can be great for headaches, and you add it to just a little bit of carrier oil or water and make a spray. You don't want to put it on your skin neat, which is directly onto your skin. You always want to have a little bit of a barrier because they're very strong. But even just smelling it, putting it in an oil and sort of dotting it around your temples, under your nose so you can smell it, can help unwind those tension headaches, and it helps your body just completely relax, and it's deeply relaxing. Also very edible. You can put it on top of cakes and cookies and things, and it's really pretty. It also strengthens your central nervous system. It's really a beautiful plant, and just its beauty is just helps you calm down. Just having it around, it just smells so good. So the scent is really helpful, but what it does too is wonderful. It also can support the immune system. It's great topically. You can put it on rashes or cuts and bites. It's a little bit antibacterial and a little antispasmodic. So it's good for like cramping and pulled muscles or tension in your tendons, and all of that just helps relax you so much. It can be very deeply relaxing. Also great to put in sachets or dream pillows. which is another wonderful thing to make with aromatic herbs like the chamomile and the lavender and the rose and the lemon balm. Those little sachets or dream pillows to put in your pillow at night. It smells so good.
I
It's
love
so
doing that
relaxing.
and drawing it through the bath in the bath water. It's
Absolutely.
a wonderful, relaxing steam into the skin. It's just beautiful in bath water.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Putting like just getting a little muslin bag and filling it full of aromatic herbs and just putting it under the faucet. You can tie it under the faucet or just put it right in your bath. It just smells so good. And that's wonderful for children too. Lavender is also safe for children. Rose also safe for children. So children and the elderly, these are also really wonderful herbs for them as well. And kids love lavender. I used to put lavender lotion on my daughter's feet at night. If she was having trouble going to sleep when she was little, she'd put her foot up and she'd say, "Mama, lavender." And I'd say, "Okay." So I'd get a little bit of lotion, put like just one drop, and I just massage her feet, and she would just totally relax. And it was really nice. So yeah, it's a wonderful herb to use.
Yeah,
For
I love
every,
that you said that. I used to, when my kids felt stuffy or stuff, I would make garlic oil and then I would rub garlic oil on their feet.
yes,
Wonderful to use your feet in that kind of, way
yes.
to draw things. Yeah.
We don't think about that, but if you think about reflexology and all of the points on our feet that correspond to our body, it's so interesting to use your feet as a way to get herbs into your body, like topically. It's great. And it's good for your feet, especially
That's what
things like lavender, which are sort of antibacterial. It's good for your good hygiene for your feet.
they help with burns too, because I remember having scalding myself on my finger and putting the lavender essential oil on it, and it went away. It was amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of salves are burn salves, and they're usually calendula, which helps heal the skin, and lavender and things like chickweed or plantain or things like that. Yeah, burn salves. And just having the essential oil there and being able to use it has been it's reportedly very good for mild burns. Um, let's see. Um, One of my other favorite herbs is oats for the nervous system. This is one that I always talk about, and I have some milky oat tops here, if you can see those. These are the tops of the oat plant, and they are harvested right off the plant right before they open. So they're like the little tops. Also easy to grow. But the milky oat tops are incredibly soothing to the body. And the oat tops are wonderful. If you can't get the oat tops, the straw is good. And if you can't find any of that, just the regular old rolled oats or organic rolled oats you can use too. You can put them in your bath. You can make a tea. They're very slimy. They have that mucilage in them that you see, when you're making your oatmeal, it's got like that slimy quality to it. And that just soothes and coats the mucous membranes. It soothes the tissues in the body. It soothes the nervous system. It's just an incredibly cooling, soothing herb. Good for the skin, good for your insides and your outsides. It's full of silica, so it's good for your hair, skin, and nails. It's just a wonderful, calming plant. It's a food, so you can eat as much of it as you want. If you're feeling really stressed and you don't have any herbs around you, just make yourself some oatmeal. It's a very nourishing food. It's full of vitamins and minerals that really help support the nervous system. It is also great with vitality. When you're exhausted, it's great for people that are burning the candle at both ends. So if you're always busy and there's no end in sight, people who are in graduate school, people who are in college, young people, especially, they get stressed out, their diet's not great, they're not sleeping a lot. Oats really almost helps you reset. When you're coming back from an illness, it's really wonderful to have oats, oat tea, or oat. This is a good tincture if it's fresh, but the oats are great as a tea. It's a little slimy, but it's sweet tasting and it's really good. It's very moistening to the body. So if you tend to be like hot and dry and tense, it just calms you down, cools you off, moistens the body, and just helps you just feel kind of juicy again. I know that some people will make a overnight infusion with oats, and they really love that. You do about an ounce of oats to a quart jar, fill it about halfway, but yeah, which is about an ounce of oats. Then you would cover it with boiling water, put the cap on, leave it overnight, strain it in the morning, and drink it through the day. And you've got this really strong infusion. And you're going to get a lot of those vitamins and minerals and the mucilage. And it's just so calming to the body. So that's one of my favorites. Favorites. I have so many herbs, so you'll have to stop me maybe if we start running out of time. I've just a couple more. I'll talk about both of these together, and I actually have the plants right here. So if you're dealing with stress and it's really getting overwhelming and you're not sleeping and you're losing your appetite and you're really having a tough time, these two work very synergistically together. They work awesome apart too. They're wonderful. Just moving my stuff here. So this is passion flower. I'm going to try and grow it. It's a tropical plant, but I'm going to see if I can get it going. The farmer that sold it to me said that it's from a plant that she was growing that she forgot about. It grew really well, and she's in my area. So she said it grew, it lived, it got through the winter, it even made a flower. If you've ever seen the passion flower, they're absolutely stunning. They're pink, and they've got these stamens, and they're just, it's hard to describe. They're just gorgeous looking. So passion flower is wonderful. It's an antispasmodic. It really helps people who are, I always say people who are twitchy. If you tend to get those eyebrow or eyelid tics or twitches or mouth twitches, passion flower is great. It's an antispasmodic. It helps with cramps. It helps with tension in the body. It helps with busy brains. Both of these do. Actually, this is skullcap, by the way, so they work together. But passion flower is great for looping thoughts that keep you awake at night. If you can't get to sleep because you're thinking about, this person that bothered you in 7th grade, and you wish that you could go back, and you're running through it all over in your mind, or you have these things that just keep you awake that don't even bother you during the day, but they're keeping you up at night. Passion flower is great. It's great for overactive brains. It's good for anxiety. It's slightly lifting, but it is sedative. So it is going to make you tired. This is something that you can take in just a couple of drops during the day. But if you're taking more than that, it's more of a nighttime herb. It can help with deep and restful sleep. It can just help you calm down and fight that insomnia. It's great for the central nervous system. It is really, really wonderful for restless legs and cramping when you get those Charlie horse cramps that can wake you up, or those foot cramps. It's really, really wonderful. It's very bitter, so an extract or a tincture is probably the best way to take it. You can put a little bit in a sleep formula. Just make sure you have other tasty herbs. You could put it with some chamomile or some lemon balm and rose, but you'd only put a little bit of passion flower because it is hard. It's hard to take. It's bitter. And it works very synergistically with skullcap. Skullcap is one of the best. This is my little plant, so cute. Skullcap is one of the best nervous system herbs because it also is an antispasmodic. It's also good for busy brains, great for ADHD brains, people that get really distracted a lot. It's very helpful for the stomach. It helps calm the GI system, helps calm the whole nervous system. It's also really wonderful for looping thoughts. So the two of them together really help quiet your mind, which can be really active, especially if you're a type of person where you're tired, you get in bed, you put your head on your pillow, and you're instantly awake because your brain won't shut down. And you're thinking of all the things that you need to do the next day. Passion flower and skullcap together are wonderful. They're also perfectly fine apart too. Skullcap is also good for PMS tension. So if you have PMS tension, or you get really cranky, or you have a lot of PMS symptoms, skullcap can be really wonderful for that. So that's those two lovelies. And let's see. Oh, and holy basil. Two more. I promise. Let me get my holy basil here. So this is the holy basil plant, also called Tulsi. It's a sacred plant in India. It's used in the Ayurvedic tradition. And it's a category of herbs called an adaptogen. And adaptogens help your body weather the effects of stress. It helps you keep calm. It helps modulate your nervous system, helps you sort of face what you need to face, and helps keep the effects and the symptoms of stress lower. It helps keep your blood pressure lower. It helps just calm the whole body. It smells amazing. It's got almost like a spicy basil smell. It's easy to grow. Again, skullcap also easy to grow. Passion flower, not so much, but I'm going to try. But the Tulsi is amazing. Tastes really good. It's also great for clarity. It's great for the brain. It's good to help clear those cobwebs away. When you're really stressed, it can be very hard to focus. So it helps you focus. It helps you have clarity and awareness. It calms you down, but keeps you aware at the same time. So that's a really great thing when you can sort of calm down. So when you're going into a meeting or you are doing any kind of public speaking, holy basil can be really, really helpful for that. It's it's a tasty herb. It actually works really well with rose. I love to combine the two of them together. They seem to work really well together to calm the spirit and keep your brain awake. It's in a lot of brain formulas, and it is one of those herbs where it has so many uses that it's hard to just pin it down. I had this whole thing, I'm like, oh, I can't say all of that, but it's great in a tea. It's edible. It's not like the regular sweet basil herb. It's different, but it just smells really amazing. I keep saying that because it's right here. Again, Ayurvedic herb, adaptogen. It's mildly stimulating, which is how it keeps your brain sort of awake, but it's great for studying, or if you have anything else that you need to do that is taxing on the brain. It's mood lifting, and it supports the body and supports the immune system as well. So that's holy basil, Tulsi. And my last
summer, I just love getting ice water and then just putting basil and lemon, holy basil and lemon in, and just drinking it during the day. I mean, it's just that simple sometimes too. Yeah, that you can do something like that, and it just makes the water taste so great and so vibrant.
Absolutely. Yes. It's good with lemon. It's good with lime. It's good with a little bit of peppermint. If people like peppermint. Peppermint is hit or miss for some people. It can be really, really strong. Also good for the nervous system, good for the stomach, calms your stomach down. It's calming and energizing at the same time. Also good for headaches. I always say if you have headaches, you're a lavender person or a peppermint person. I'm a peppermint person, and it's not my favorite, but it works for my headaches more than lavender. So it's good to have lavender essential oil and peppermint essential oil, or the plants, and smell them and see what helps your headaches. But yeah, that's a good one. It was on my list. It didn't quite make it, but it is a good one. Let's see. Oh, ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is a supreme herb for the nervous system. It is one of the best adaptogens. Again, it's an Ayurvedic herb. I don't have the actual plant, but I do have the dried, cut, and sifted plant. So it's a root, so it's a little chunky and dry. It's usually, you can get it cut and sifted, which is what I have, or you can get it in a powder. I suggest that you get it cut and sifted and make your powder if you have that opportunity, because powders only last about 6 months before they are not as effective. So making your own powder when you need it is really helpful. Just get a coffee grinder that you keep, especially for herbs. You don't want to grind your coffee in it, because then your herbs taste like and smell like coffee. So have that a dedicated coffee maker, and then you can grind them up and use the powder. And the powder is wonderful. You can sprinkle it in smoothies. You can put it in a capsule. You can also make an extract of it, but it's not historically how it's usually used. It's mostly used as a powder. You can put the powder with some milk or milk alternative and some cinnamon and heat that up at night. And it's a really nice thing to take at night. Ashwagandha can be very sedating or energizing, depending on what you need. It balances out your nervous system and helps you deal with stress. It is a wonderful nerve tonic. You can take it for a really long time. You can take high doses for a really long time. It can help with bringing down that anxious feeling. It can help you have a deep and restful sleep if you take it at night. I have to take it at night, or it knocks me right out. It's great for stamina. It is great to help you come back from long illnesses. It is wonderful for the immune system. It helps protect the immune system. And it is just an amazing, amazing herb. There have been studies on it that say that in very large doses, it can be comparable to benzodiazepines for anxiety. But you'd have to take it, you'd have to start small and sort of find your dose. So you start small and keep adding more and more until you really felt calm. But I don't want anybody to stop taking their medications in place of ashwagandha. But it can react to some different kind of medications and affect the effectiveness of the medications. So as with all herbs, always talk to your doctor before you use them. Make sure they're not going to contraindicate. They're not contraindicated with any medications. And make sure that if you are on medications, your doctors know exactly what you're doing, what you're taking, and you're working with a doctor when you're adding herbs, because herbs were some of our first medicines. So they do have their own chemical constituents, and want to make sure that that's not going to cause trouble with anything you're going through. So research your herbs, make sure you know what you're doing, and talk to your doctor if you're on medication, or your pharmacist, or both. Make sure everybody's on the same page. Some of the other things you can do for stress besides herbs that I just want to talk about it just for a second is adding things like magnesium and calcium to your diet, exercise, sleep routines, going to bed and getting up at the same time, meditation, walks, journaling, all these things that can help us get the stress out of our bodies and just help us calm down. Talking to friends, reducing our caffeine intake. Sometimes we're drinking too much caffeine, so taking that down a little bit, changing out what we're doing, and just trying to mitigate that stress coming into our bodies with herbs, and how we conduct our days as much as we can, which can be hard sometimes.
Mhm.
So those are my herbs.
Thank you so
You guys
much.
have
That was amazing. So much information. And,
probably too much information.
no, it's very inspiring. We'll probably have to have you back to talk about some more. But I want to thank you personally for being my teacher and Lori's teacher. You've inspired me, and I just really appreciate everything that you've done and all your work, your writing, your example, your teaching. So I just want to personally thank you. And thank you for what you shared with our listeners today. It was so hopeful.
Thank you.
Great.
I second that. And as you can tell, Sheilagh is so passionate and loving and generous teacher, and just her enthusiasm for herbs are contagious. So if somebody right now is feeling the urge to want to learn more about herbs, do you have any upcoming classes or recommendations?
I'm going to be doing some classes. I've been working with the Mac Park Food Farm in Salem that I had just talked about. I've been doing some classes there, and I am through the winter looking for an indoor home to do some classes, and I might be teaching at Artemisia Botanicals, which is also in Salem. If people want to follow me on Instagram, it's at Which City Herbalist. I'm also on TikTok, although I haven't done anything on TikTok because I'm still trying to wrap my brain around the TikTok here. You can find me on Facebook. That's where I also list my classes. It's just me. It's not a professional page yet. I'm getting there. Yeah, that's where you can find me. Artemisia Botanicals at artemisiabotanicals.net. That's where I get a lot of my herbs. If you're ever in the area of Salem and you need some herbs, that's one of the best, or actually the best, herbal apothecary on the North Shore, in my opinion. And so I may be doing some classes there. But I post them on my Instagram and my Facebook. So if people want to follow me there, and the Mac Park Food Farm also has a Facebook page. It's Mac Park Food Farm, and they're on Instagram as well. So those are the places where you can find me. And I'm usually posting the stuff that I'm doing and trying to be better about the social media stuff. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And I just want to thank you guys so much for reaching out. I know it took a while to get this going, but I'm so excited to do it. And I'm so excited that the two of you stayed close after class and you're doing this podcast. I think it's wonderful. And it was so fun just to see you and talk to you and bring my enthusiasm of my herbs.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. We loved having you on. And until next time, how is your intuition leading you to the next perfect step?